Hello, this is David, and in this video I'm going to be conducting a technical analysis of my 100 meters freestyle race from the South Yorkshire Masters Short Course Swimming Championships 2024. In this race I came in with a time of 104.38, which constitutes my worst 100 meters freestyle performance of 2024 and my worst 100 meters freestyle performance since September 2023. Therefore, it's not a performance that I'm particularly proud of, and therefore I just want to go back, take a look at the race to uncover what went so horribly wrong in it, as well as identify potential improvements for the future. For more swimming content, remember to follow and subscribe. To help out my channel further, please watch as much of this video as well as the rest of my content as you possibly can. Otherwise, to swim faster on limited training time, head on over to westcough.com. But otherwise, without any further ado, let's dive right in to today's technical analysis. A decent reaction time off of the blocks from me, but needs to keep my head up higher for longer so that I don't start arcing towards the water earlier than I need to. I get good distance under the water, but probably at the cost of some time due to some very fatigued underwater kicks. However, it's the turn at the 25 where everything goes to pot, where I pause on the wall because I thought that the race had been brought back for a split second, meaning that I get next to no push off of that 25 and therefore have a lot of work to do to catch up on my competitors in the rest of this race. Down the second 25, my stroke looks awfully tired and laboured, not the best of turns at the 50, largely because I'm feeling so fatigued. And to be honest, after that catastrophic mistake at the turn at the 25, my head has largely gone. Try to bring it back a bit down the third 25, but a laboured and tired third turn means that I get very little momentum going down the fourth 25. And now it's just a case of trying to push as hard as I can for a reasonable time. And I come in with a time of 104.38. So the biggest talking point of that race for me was the turn at the 25. When I flipped at the wall and looked around me, I could see that no one else was there with me, and therefore for a split second wondered in my head whether all the swimmers had been pulled back, and as a result I stopped temporarily before pushing off from the wall in an attempt to conserve energy. However, I then realised that that wasn't the case and therefore needed to get on with the rest of the race as quickly as I possibly could. And therefore, I lost a significant chunk of time from that tumble turn alone. Firstly, by just sticking on the wall and not moving anywhere, and then by not getting a very good push off of said wall, so that I had zero momentum going down the second length, which was incredibly frustrating. I'd done everything right, as it were. Then at that point, just such a bad mistake, and paid the price significantly for it. Other than that, I think key talking points from that race are my turns and underwaters. Whilst the first turn was undoubtedly the biggest culprit in this race, looking at my second and third turn, so at the 50 and 25, these aren't much better, where although I get it right in that I don't pause my race temporarily for no reason whatsoever, I don't accelerate going into the wall, probably from the fatigue that I was feeling over the course of that weekend. For those of you that watched my technical analysis of my other races on that day will know that I moved house the day before and therefore was just completely knackered from moving all my worldly possessions from one house to another. So didn't really have the energy, and given that this was the last race of the day, I'd already spent it on a 50 freestyle and 50 meters butterfly, so was absolutely knackered. And as a result, didn't accelerate going into the turns, glided into the wall a little bit, as I typically do when I start to feel fatigued in a race. And as a result, off of both turns, I didn't really get very much out of my push, and you can see that from the fact that I do next to no underwater leg kicks. I'm pretty much pushing off of the wall, maybe putting in a token fly kick to try and get myself a little bit of momentum going forward down the length, but then I'm straight into the freestyle kick, where ideally I'd want to be getting at least 3, if not 4 underwater leg kicks from the underwater phase after kicking off of the wall, but fatigue just meant that I didn't have it within me for that race. So again, lost quite a lot of time from my turns. Looking at the dive, this was relatively decent. I've noticed in comparison to the other swimmers where they maintain their bodies more straight coming off of the blocks, they go horizontally for longer, whereas I seem to arch quite quickly into the pool, which may account for why I seem to go so deep under the water on all of my dives, and it takes me a while to get back to the surface, instead of having more of that momentum going forwards for me, which would really benefit me slowing my times down. So I really need to improve my trajectory and technique off of the dive when throwing myself off of the blocks, to ensure that momentum is going in the forwards direction as opposed to a downwards direction, where then I need to then put effort into coming upwards so that I surface on during the underwater phase. So something that became relatively obvious to me from watching the dives versus everyone else. Finally, looking at my stroke, I don't think that there was too much there technique-wise that I was worried about. It was more the fact that I couldn't execute it with the level intensity that I wanted to, just because I was so absolutely knackered. And when you start to get tired and not doing things properly, it typically means that you start to do things in a less efficient manner as well, which then just increases the tiredness exponentially, which means that you do more things not quite so well, and as a result you just keep losing more and more speed, and therefore increase your time ever more. So a really frustrating race there for me, a big mistake which really shouldn't have happened, but based on how tired I am, I can see why it happened. One to forget, one to put behind me and learn from and focus on in the future. So not all bad, some decent learning to come away out of that race, but overall not a performance that I'm particularly happy with, and hopefully I can learn from it and do better in the future. So that concludes today's technical analysis. I've been David Westcough. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.
For more swimming content, follow and subscribe. To swim faster on limited training time, head to westcough.com. Otherwise, see you in the next episode.